Hey everybody, Rick from Tremor Outdoors, and today we're going to be doing an install of the Auxbeam rock lights on to the truck here. Apparently, from what I'm told, this can be a little bit of a sizable project. I've known guys who've told me to do it can take 1 or 2 days. I'm here to challenge that, see how quickly we can get this done and still be done well. I'm really very excited about these because even though this is a 10 rock light system, it actually works like 20. You see the angle there? So you got the beams shooting out at different angles. So one light could go into the wheel well and be acting like it's 2 lights. And the same thing under the body as well. Now, because I'm going to be doing off-roading, I'm going to have some challenges mounting the lights underneath the truck so that if we do come down on something as we're going overlanding, we don't want to take out these lights. So I have some ideas. What I'm going to look to do is, instead of doing it on the frame, because I've seen guys online do where they have them mounted this way on the frame, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't give the same effect as when it's pointing to the ground and illuminating. So what I'm actually going to attempt here is I'm going to attempt to mount these up underneath the body and basically put the bolts where they're coming through the body into the sill area of the truck, and then we'll seal it up with silicone on both sides so that we don't get any water penetration if we go into deeper water. And that should get me lighting underneath the center part of the truck. We have to look at where we're going to mount them up at the front, and then we also have to look at where we're going to be mounting at the back. As I say, being super conscious of the fact that we don't want to place these anywhere near where we're going to have an angle of approach and you're going to hit and then the lights toast. The other thing to remember with these, this set, it's a really cool set, but you daisy chain them. Now this, if you notice, has 1 wire. This one has 2 wires, okay? So you're going to daisy chain these, and you have to make sure that the last position be your single wire one. So don't make the mistake of starting to just grab them and mount them without looking to make sure you've got your daisy chain set up properly, that you're going to get these installed in the right places. So also what I like about these lights is that there's like it's almost like silicone rubber on here. So it's really sealed up really nicely. Dirt and water is not going to affect these. These are RGB plus W, so they do all the colors of the rainbow plus white. And then this is the power module. Now, here in British Columbia, it's illegal to operate rock lights when you're driving. You can't have any underglow on your vehicle. So I'm going to connect these to my upfitter switches, going to move a couple things around. I'm going to double up the ambers that we did for the F-150 LEDs for their amber backlights on the light bar and on the pillar lights. We'll put both of those onto one switch for now, and then the rock lights will be on their own independent switch. The cool thing about this is it does have an app that you can download, and you can control whatever degree of color you want through that app, so it's really cool. One little piece of information I meant to mention: if you look at the lights, you have your power cables for them. However, you also have a blue, and I looked it up, and this is for brakes, so that actually you can have it when it connects to your brake signal, it'll make the lights come on. Super illegal up here, so we're not doing that. Anyways, if you want to get funky with it, you can. All right, we got some setting up to do, so let's get at it, and we'll see how we do. I've got them all mapped out. On the driver's side, the single wire is going to go in this wheel well, down to double wire, double wire, double wire, and this is obviously going to be underneath, but double wire, and then into the power, and then we have the other power line coming out because there's 2 lines. This one's for driver's side, this one's for passenger, and we've just done the same thing. So we've gone wheel well, 2 underneath, 1 at the back fender well, and then 1 is going to go in the underneath the bumper at the back. And what I'm going to do now that I've got them all in place, last thing I feel like doing is getting all the wires run, etc., and finding out there's a problem. So As I mentioned, I'm not going to be using the blue brake wire, so I've cut it just to give me a little extension wire for now. I'm going to put some heat shrink on this so that it doesn't cause any shorting issues later. And then I'm just going to tap, this is my ground wire, and then I've got my positive wire right there, which I'll tap onto the battery here, and all things being equal, it should power up. All right, the moment of truth, let's try this. Boom. Okay, it's working. And we can see them working all the way down the line. Good, good, good. That's a good sign. That's what we want. Now that we know that the lights do work, everything lights up just fine. The only thing that we may end up doing, and it just depends on how the cables run, is using the extension cables. But at this time, I'm going to think that it's we're clear without it. We've got a fair bit of cable here, unless we're having to do some really funky wiring here. Next step is going to be taking out the inner fender liner, because we've got to get drilled through and then put the wires through on the other side and bolt it on. Now, to remove the inner fender liner, you got a 7mm bolt here. You got some of these upholstery clips. There's 1, 2 on the back, and then you've got the same down here. You got another bolt down here, I believe. So we got the one clip out, upholstery clip. I don't know if they call it an upholstery clip, but this clip comes out. You're going to want to use an upholstery tool like this for popping these out. It is stubborn. You just got to work at it and it will come out. One of the things that I wanted to do here, before I get too far ahead of myself, I've got the clips all pulled up, but before I pull out the fender liner, I want to make sure a placement where it's going to look the best. This is, obviously you can see right here, I've got it sort of top dead center, closest to the fender on the outside. Seems to be given pretty good light up of the inside. If I move it to here, it's not bad, but I actually think I like it more out here. So this is the placement that I'm going to go with. And so now I know exactly where we're going to be drilling and mounting and running the wires. Okay, so an update for you. What I've done is I've drilled the holes, I've mounted this little unit. Saved you a little bit of viewing time because it's kind of a silly thing to watch, but basically you can pull down the actual, let me get this here. You can pull down, once you undo everything, this is quite movable. And so you have to pull it down. Don't drill right through because you'll drill through your actual fender. Pull the liner down, pop through, put your bolts through. I used like a reamer drill bit to drill a little bit bigger hole for the cables to go through on this side here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fill that with silicone. And the wires are coming down on the backside down through here. And I really like how it looks. It did a good job. Next on this part is going to be putting the clips and the 2 screws back in place for the fender liner. And then once the whole install is done, I'm actually going to get a Dremel tool, and I'm just going to zing these bolts shorter. But actually, it went quite smoothly. I was quite pleased with that. Regarding the underbody ones, I found a really good spot. I think it's going to work really well. What you're seeing here is the rear driver's side door. Popped off the cover plate, peeled back the rubber liner, kicked this up out of the way, and you can see, make sure you keep your wiring harness out of the way. But I've drilled from the underside through very, very carefully, like go very, very slow. I've drilled through and created 2 holes. I'm going to put the bolts, drop them through on this side, and they'll poke through on the other side, and then we will start doing the mounting of the light onto the bolts. So you can see I've drilled that a little bit wider for the head of the bolt to go through there. I've done the same on that side. I've done the same on that side. And now we're going to drop the bolts through, and then we'll go underneath and get everything tied up. Okay, so we've got this mounted. I'm going to have to go up top side and tighten up the bolts, the nuts, using the Allen key on the other side, and then a little crescent wrench here. It's probably going to take two people because my arms aren't long enough to go up and around and hold everything in place on the other side. As far as the wiring goes, what we're going to do is, as I back myself out of the way here, as far as the wiring goes, it's going to run along here, and we're going to tuck it up under here. We're going to zap strap and tuck it up out of the way. So we'll do that after we get the other lights running. We'll tie it all in place. All right, an update here for you. What we did is we've put this one in the front driver's wheel well. It's tricky because if you try to put the bolts through and do what you're going to do up on the top side from coming from down in, it's way too tight. You can't get your hands in there. It's really nasty. So what I landed up doing was undoing all the different screws and clips to about the halfway point. I was able to drop the liner down and put the bolts through and everything secured. I reamed out the one hole. Let's see if I can show you. There's a hole just right here. Yeah, there it is. That I reamed out just a little bit for the wires to go through. And that pretty much has it on the driver's side. So we've got driver's fender well, two under the body, and the rear tire well done. So I still have to put the one on the front, and then hit the other side, and then do the one under the rear bumper. So I've zap strapped all the wires neatly. You guys don't need to see that. It's just find areas where you can zap strap the wires, keep things looking really clean and neat, so that if you're going through stuff, it's not going to snag up. Other than that, let's get on the next part. All right, so here's an update for you. I'm going to take and show you the wiring. It's running from the passenger rear fender liner. And so you can kind of see up into there. You can see way off in the distance, there's the light I've drilled. It's gone up through. Wires have come down, and it's gone into the... Okay, so the one wire is going up and over and down and across. I will show you that in a minute. That's going to under the spare tire, actually. It turned out to be a really good point to secure it. And I'll explain to you why. The cables come from between the fender liner and the wheel well. So you have to drop that fender liner, which I told you before earlier. And then the wires come across. I've got them zap strapped in here, coming across. Good grief, it's tight in here. And bear with me, folks. Coming across, there's the next one. And I've got a whole hodgepodge of stuff that you guys won't have typically on your vehicle because I've got the onboard air and the air horns and whatever else. So next one up, passenger side front seat. We're going to do that one next. All right, you can see my hiding spot for there. What I did is I just used the spare wheel. I just used the spare wheel with some zap straps, rigged it up through the lug nut holes, and the wires just go up through and over. And it's super easy. If you ever did need to do a flat tire swap, you would just simply go underneath there, cut the zap straps that are holding it super quick, and the wire is easily accessed on the other side, up in the back corner there. And it's just the quick connect, so it's just you unthread it and away you go. So it turned out to be a perfect spot for it. It's recessed. It's not going to get any damage from if you're off-roading or whatever. So I'm pretty excited about that positioning. All right, so that gets the install of the Auxbeam rock light set onto Fenrir. It looks amazing. I have to tell you folks that I really am blown away by the difference that it does to the cosmetics of the vehicle when you have it going. It's unfortunate we can't drive with them on here in British Columbia, but when you park, fill your boots, you can have lots of fun with it. Events and whatever. I wanted to add that the install is a lot of work, but it's not hard from the aspect of being like really, really, heavy or any of that kind of stuff. It's just a lot of routing the wires, figuring out where things are going to get mounted, dropping down the fender liners. If you have fender liners on your truck, if you don't have fender liners on your truck, you're going to have a lot of fun because you need those to really mount those in the fender inside. Otherwise, you're drilling through the actual metal of your fenders. In general terms, I'm over the moon excited. I think they look fantastic. Would I put this as a beginner level job? No. I would definitely put it as being an intermediate level job to do. For a beginner, it might be a little bit daunting. I mean, not from the actual knowing circuitry and any of that kind of stuff, but it's just more of getting in and mucking it up with your vehicle. So, especially if you got a new vehicle. I like the placement in the spare tire at the back. The challenge is when you have a four-wheel drive vehicle and you're going to be going off-roading with it is you don't want to be putting anything where you're going to have your approach angle or your departure angles could collide with the ground, and then those lights are going to be done. So I was able to tuck up into the spare tire, as I said. It looks pretty cool. The front, I actually didn't put one. I left it off. I went with the 9 pods, so it's 18 lights in general. The front, there's just nowhere to put it. I've got the gigantic skid plate that goes right along the front and underneath the motor and the tranny and whatever, so there was no place for me to actually mount this, and it'd be pointless because if I did go off-roading, it'd just get toast. So it still looks really, really good though with 9. You know what? I like it a lot. You could even get by with just doing the fender well liners, the under the body, and call it a day. You don't have to do front and end if you don't want to. Thank you so much, Auxbeam. Check it out, everybody, auxbeam.com. They have amazing products, tons of stuff. So go check them out, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.